and it happened again. Patrick Mahomes is a dog. You just bet it. And it's going to be in play next weekend too. And we're going to sit here on the show talking about it. Are we going to do it? It's 9-1-1 now against the spread. 9-1-1, and 9 of those covers, 8 are wins. Like it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter that his receivers have been horrendous all season. And that's the other part of this. Is this the Chiefs' offense that we've been waiting on? Or were they in 2 great spots against beat-up defenses? I don't know. That's going to be the push and pull all week long. But, yeah, you're right. It's not Josh Allen's fault. Josh Allen was awesome, in fact. Like, without him, where are they in this game? I mean, there's a bum that people call a number 1 wide receiver on the Bills. His name's Stephon Diggs. Like, how does he drop that? That was a 65-yard dime. I mean,
absolute. That
awesome.
Was an airdrop into the opposition's most heavily fortified militaries. I mean, that thing. You saw him let go of that. It looked like he was trying to hit the moon with it. He was Uncle Rico trying to hit that mountain over there, and it was right where it needed to be.
Midair, you're like,
Diggs
I don't know where that's going, but he overthrew that, right? Like, he had to overthrow it. Like, no. It was right there. Touchdown with Shakur was awesome. He used his legs when they needed it. Nothing to do with him. People are going to focus on the kicker. And Aaron, I think if you want to talk about McDermott, I wonder in Buffalo today if people are thinking, should his job be safe? I don't know. I mean, they were 6-6.
Man. When do you do that Buffalo hit? Because I am curious what they have to say. I think if you're blaming Josh Allen, you were wrong. The whole, can't get it done against the Chiefs thing. I feel my biggest takeaway is I feel so bad for that guy. Like, it was almost hard to watch him at that post-game press conference, holding back the tears. Like, in a year where the Chiefs have not had the best season, you got the Bills had the injuries, the wide right, oh man, and 2 to 4 plays go the Bills' way and they win that game. I feel so bad for him. I really do. But going back to Stephon Diggs being a bum, the national media before that game, Joe, were talking Diggs up, and I'm like, did they not hear Joe Ostrowski call the guy a bum? 21 yards, his under hit by a mile. So I hope people tailed that.
Purdy struggled in the rain, and we know about Goff outdoors. You know, him in bad conditions really struggles. But, there's this path here where Goff leads the Lions to the Super Bowl without dealing with bad weather in January. We've seen it. The importance of winning the NFC North, getting those 2 home games, and now the tough one on the road is out west, and it looks like it's going to be mid-60s. Probably no issues. But a much tougher opponent than they've seen on their way here. It's not the Rams defense, and it's not the Buccaneers and Baker. And each of those games, that Lions defense gave up over 400 yards. So I understand why the total's so high. My first reaction, if you're playing the total, is, yeah, it's going to be maybe a lower scoring playoff game, but the conditions are set up for both offenses to succeed. And you got to love that matchup for Shanahan now going against this Lions defense.
Yeah.
But we said that a week ago going into the Packers game. Now, the conditions really hurt them, but we thought that they were just going to be flying up and down the field. That was not the case. So is that going to happen again? I don't know. My first thought is 6.5. If you like San Francisco, I do. I'd look to that side because I don't think those 6.5s are going to be available later in the week.
I think we talked about it here weeks ago. We talked about playoff futures, and I'm like, look, I do think the Rams and the Lions could go to Santa Clara and beat the 49ers, and that's before the playoffs started. Brock Purdy, the last 4 games. I mean, what are we talking about here? Brock Purdy versus the Blitz since the Baltimore game. 8 of 13, 173 yards, no touchdowns, 4 picks, 73.4 rating. Brock Purdy since the Baltimore game versus pressure, 61.1 rating. Brock Purdy overall since the Baltimore game, 79.4 rating. that doesn't include the pick six and the and the other pick that should have happened in that game. I mean, I don't know, guys. Do you see Chase Young and Nick Bosa taking over games? Nick Bosa's got pressure less than 13% of the time the last month of the season. He doesn't have a sack in that span. Chase Young, 8% pressure rate, half a sack. Hargrave, 9% pressure rate, 1 sack. Kinlaw has 3 pressures in his last 4 games. That's the D-line. Detroit's got a fighting chance.
It's a juice 3. I just think the Ravens are playing so much better on both sides of the ball. The Chiefs' defense, I think it's going to be up for a big challenge against Lamar. And then I saw this, according to ESPN, the Chiefs, 26 in EPA per opponent designed carry. So I think stopping the run is going to be really hard for this Chiefs defense as well. So I just think the way Lamar is playing, the way this Ravens defense is playing, it was really cool to see what they did. And there is the whole Mahomes, Andy Reid, Kelsey had the 2 touchdowns, but I just think top to bottom, this Ravens team is just playing so much better.
I think the run game is a really important factor here you bring up. Like that, look at what Buffalo did on the ground last night, even in a loss, 182 yards. Like that's usually, statistically, you go back and look at Buffalo's numbers, not to rehash the Bills-Chiefs game again, but you look back at the numbers and you look at that, just the box score. Don't just block out the final score at the top of the box score and go back and look at all the Bills numbers, all the stat lines. You go, oh, okay, the Bills the Bills beat the Chiefs. They finally got past them. And then you go and look at the score. You're like, oh my God, what happened? Because statistically, they put up numbers on this Chiefs defense. And this is something it's why I bet Bills yesterday and why I'll probably bet Ravens again on Sunday. The Chiefs defense is very good. I'm not here to argue that the Chiefs defense is not good. But when you get to these points, this late in the season, very good goes to great by making the big play when it needs to be made, by turning the opposition over. I think they've forced 5 turnovers in the last 8 weeks. It's why going for the fake punt made no sense. They weren't turning you over, and you handed them the ball deep in your own territory. Again, they ended up getting away with it because of the Hardman fumble. But, what are you doing? They can't turn teams over. If they can't turn Lamar over, I'm sorry, they're not beating the Ravens.
It was very clear to me how many people don't know how betting works and how spreads work, because the Ravens flock came out in droves. The Ravens won. You look so silly. Really? Because I never said they were going to win. I like the Texans on the spread, you idiot. Learn how to bet. I was so annoyed. I went after each and every one of these people and clapped back at them. Because no, you look silly, dude, with your blue mirror sunglasses, you clown. Yeah, I was so mad. Like, I never said the Texans are winning outright. Go listen to the podcast and leave me alone. So yeah, that's what I'm mad about.
Was this Instagram?
I woke up to a bunch of comments like they couldn't wait. People who don't even follow me were chiming in, and I'm like, "You look silly now because the Ravens won." That wasn't even in the video. I don't even know what you're talking about. You look silly. Do you know how betting works? Like, this is so annoying. So yeah, I guess any engagement is good engagement. After I responded to each person that called me stupid, then I just stopped looking. I'm like, let's just let the engagement go now.